Welcome to The Explainer. Okay, if you're a parent, this is probably on your mind a lot lately. How in the world are we supposed to handle our kids' relationship with AI? It is a huge question, and today we're going to break it down and give you a straightforward, practical guide.
So, where do we even begin? Well, first, let's just get a lay of the land and look at who's actually using this stuff. Because there's a pretty good chance you're already being outpaced.
All right, take a look at this. This gap is pretty wild. While less than a quarter of adults in the US have even tried something like ChatGPT, more than half of kids between 9 and 12 are already on it. Just let that sink in for a second. For a lot of us, AI is this brand new, kind of weird tool. For them, it's just part of their world.
And that really is the big question, isn't it? How are you supposed to guide them through a world that you're still trying to figure out yourself? Well, the good news is, you absolutely do not need to be an AI expert. You just need a solid framework for the journey ahead.
And we've got to be really clear here. This is not just another screen time debate. The stakes with AI are completely different, and they go right to the very core of how our kids learn, grow, and connect. So here's one of the first major hurdles. Kids, especially the little ones, they often see AI as a friend. They genuinely think there's a tiny person with real feelings living inside of Alexa or Siri. And our job as parents is to gently reframe that, to help them see AI for what it really is. An incredibly powerful tool for sure, but not a conscious, feeling friend.
This quote from child development expert Kathy Hershen-Pasek, it just nails the heart of the matter. The most critical thing for a child's brain development is that simple back-and-forth conversation with a parent or a caregiver, that human connection. It is absolutely non-negotiable, and we have to be sure technology never, ever gets in the way of it.
Okay, so we know what's at stake. What's the plan? Now, this is not about banning AI. It's about building the right skills to navigate it. So let's walk through a simple three-part playbook that you can literally start using today.
This whole framework really boils down to three core ideas. First, we just need to be more aware of where AI is in our lives. Second, we have to encourage critical thinking, not just passively accepting answers. And third, and this might be the most important one, we have to keep talking about it. So let's break those down.
So step one is all about making the invisible visible. Just start pointing out AI when you see it. The movie recommendations on Netflix, the directions on Google Maps, the voice of Siri. What this does is it demystifies AI. It changes it from this magical, confusing concept into a practical tool you can actually discuss and understand together.
Now, the second step is all about teaching a skill called metacognition. It sounds fancy, but it's really just thinking about your thinking. It's that little pause you take before you start a project and ask, okay, what's my plan here? How am I going to tackle this? This one skill is maybe the most important thing to prevent our kids from just outsourcing their brains to an AI.
And you can model this every single day. Before you ask a chatbot a question, just think out loud. What do we already know? What's the best way to ask this? You can use AI to check your work or to explore an idea a little deeper, but not as a shortcut to avoid thinking in the first place. And always, always, always fact-check its answers, together. And the third piece of this playbook is simple. This cannot be a one-and-done talk. AI is changing so fast. By making these conversations a normal, ongoing part of family life, just like talking about their day at school, you build the trust that means they'll always come to you first.
So, you can see where this is going. This whole playbook, it's not really about raising a bunch of future coders. It's about focusing our energy on the skills that AI can't touch, the skills that are uniquely and powerfully human.
This really reframes the whole goal of education, doesn't it? Knowing how to code is great, don't get me wrong, but the most future-proof skills aren't technical. They're about how we think, how we connect, and how we create. It's all about strengthening our humanity, not just our tech literacy.
And these are the skills that are going to be worth their weight in gold. Things like solving truly complex problems, not just finding quick answers. Having emotional awareness in a world that's full of algorithms. Making those tough ethical calls. These are the abilities that work with AI, not against it.
And as we get our kids ready for that future, we also have to start asking ourselves some better questions. Questions that go way beyond the usual panicked headlines you see about AI.
For years, it feels like the whole conversation about AI has been stuck on that one simple question. But the reality is so much more complex, and honestly, a lot more interesting. We really need to upgrade our questions to prepare our kids for the world they're actually going to inherit.
So instead of just asking, will AI take my job? We should be asking things like, where do we always want a human in charge?
In a courtroom, a classroom, a hospital room. What are the hidden costs of all this automation? What's the real value of human care and creativity in an automated world? And maybe the biggest one of all, is our education system changing fast enough to actually teach what really matters?
And that brings us right back to the most important takeaway in all of this. Preparing your child for an AI-driven world isn't some big technological race. It is a deeply, deeply human endeavor, and it's all focused on connection, critical thought, and curiosity. That right there is the real toolkit for the future.